This display is showing data on GCSE results for 2009. It's showing the percentage of pupils who achieve 5 or more good GCSE results, including English and Maths. In this context, a good result is a grade from A star to C. This is old data, and grading has since changed to a number rather than a letter. This data is for England only, and is population data downloaded from the Government Gateway in 2009. On this first page, we're currently looking at the percentage of pupils who achieved good GCSE grades in 5 subjects, including English and Maths. This data is split by sex and by main ethnic group. Before doing anything, we can see that there is a consistent difference in performance between boys and girls, where a greater percentage of girls than boys are achieving 5 good GCSEs, which include English and Maths, across all ethnic groups, and that apart from minor variations, that difference is fairly consistent across each group. We can also see that whilst most ethnic groups are achieving similar results, there are noticeable differences where the data shows a smaller proportion of black pupils achieving 5 good GCSEs, including English and Maths, when compared with other groups, and a greater proportion of Chinese pupils achieving 5 good GCSEs, including English and Maths, when compared with other groups. This representation says nothing about cause or mechanisms. It merely allows the user to start to understand and engage with the data. If we now move to the slider associated with free school meals, we can look at the same data, but this time just for pupils not entitled to free school meals and those who are entitled to free school meals. By moving the slider between the two groups, we're able to see that there are some very noticeable differences between the groups. In the first place, it's apparent that in general, a smaller proportion of pupils who are entitled to free school meals achieve 5 good GCSEs when compared to those who are not entitled to free school meals. Rapidly moving between the two groups gives us a good sense of how these columns change. For instance, we can see a large difference between the results for white pupils entitled to free school meals and those not. By looking closely at, say, the columns for Asian and for black pupils, we see that there are also differences in the results for those entitled to free school meals and those not. However, these differences are not consistent across all ethnic groups. The greatest differences are within white pupils, and most notably, there is a very small difference in results for Chinese pupils. If, for example, we think that this effect differs for boys and girls, we might not be able to see this so clearly with the charts as currently displayed. Fortunately, we're able to change the axes of these graphs to give us a sharper focus on any differences in which we are interested. Now we can look at the difference between those entitled to free school meals and those not, and see if that difference changes significantly as we move between boys and girls. And we can scan across each ethnic group to see if there's a variation in this effect. Of course, what we also notice in this interaction, as before, is the difference in results between boys and girls across all ethnic groups and across both categories of free school meals. We can also change the categories being plotted and again explore differences or look for stories in the data. If we move to a different page, we're able to drill down further into the data and disaggregate the ethnic groups further where data is available. This allows us to see that categorizations such as ethnic group are not homogeneous and warn us to be careful about overgeneralization. The displays presented so far have been based on proportions, which allow us to make comparisons across and between groups. However, when we look at raw numbers, because in England the population is predominantly white, we see that numbers in some of these demographics are relatively small. However, it's worth remembering that this is population data, not a sample. So we're not trying to make inferences from small samples. We now return to a proportional display, and we have the same data as before. However, this time we have an additional slider. This introduces another variable, so we can include analyses which allow us to look at GCSE results for 5 good GCSEs, this time including English and Maths, or not. Now we have a display which allows us to engage with 5 variables and carry out some more complex analyses.